Are you on? Are you doing okay? Just go ahead.
Hi, are you gonna be ready?
I'm already on. Nobody's here.
Okay, okay, because you wrote 9:10.
Okay, well, we got here. We got here at 9 o'clock, but oh, here's Ahuva.
Okay, I'm gonna get on. Okay.
Here's Ahuva. People are coming on. Good Avach, everybody. I remember that, and yes, Susan and I were in that place as well. David, did you get a message that that I was starting at 9:10?
Yes.
Good. We got here just about 5 minutes ago. We're in, oh, Sydney has a beautiful library. We're at Sydney Marsha's place in Rancho Mirage.
How was your drive?
Very, very comfortable.
Good.
You know, not much traffic. Here's Tzvi Eilat. Here's Suzanne. Hi, Tzvi. Shavua Tov.
Oh.
Hi, Susie.
Hi, Ernie.
It's a magnificent home here, Susie.
Beautiful. We have to go.
Let me just see where the eyes are. Oh my God.
How do you do this? How do you get back in?
You're in, Susie. You're in.
Oh, hi. Hi. Shavua Tov.
So, where's your golf clubs?
My trunk.
Hi, Harold. We're in your neck of the woods here.
Yeah, hi, Ernie.
Rancho
Welcome.
Mirage.
Uh-huh.
So it didn't, how long did it take to drive? It wasn't so bad.
2 hours.
It's 2 hours door to door.
That's fantastic.
2 hours. It's the question is, Harold, there was a fair amount, where are these people going Saturday night? There are cars on the road. There's traffic in certain.
But there's plenty of casinos, many casinos.
I'm not talking about here in Palm Springs. I'm talking about on the way, like downtown LA.
Oh, they're going out. They're partying. Yeah. Restaurants downtown. There's so many new restaurants downtown.
Where are these people going? It's Saturday. Like when I go to work, 7 o'clock in the morning to Downey,
Yeah.
freeway's empty.
No
But
one works anymore.
But
As
here,
they're going to the
Saturday
court-
night, both ways, there was a lot of traffic.
Oh, very busy.
I mean, not enough to slow us down. We
Uh-huh.
made it here in 2 hours, pretty much.
No, that's good. That's good.
No, it's me.
The weather's very nice. It's not cold.
Yeah, today was gorgeous, like high 60s, sunny.
Oh, Harold, you were already here Shabbos.
Yeah, I was here. I've been here since Wednesday.
I see.
Yeah. My kids are here.
Nice.
But I saw your kids in shul. I see. So then you guys came up here.
Right.
I saw Racheli's kids with you in Mincha during the week,
Right. On Tuesday, we came Wednesday morning.
on Wednesday.
So Yitzi was here and Chaim was here.
Uh-huh. Okay.
He had like 50 people in shul today. It was packed at the Chabad.
Maybe because of the tournament tomorrow, people have come in.
That could be. Yeah.
Maybe. We brought my son-in-law and my son-in-law's brother-in-law as the golf ringers.
Are they good?
We'll find out.
Find out. No, apparently Sydney's, you know that guy Eric Kroner?
He's very good.
Ernie,
Yeah.
you're being taped, just so you know, you're on
Okay,
tape.
he's on our team too, so that's good.
Oh, he is. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, he's good.
Okay, so Perek Chav Beis. Perek Chav Beis. I'm sorry, Perek Chav Gimel. We finished Shiras David, complicated Shira last week. And we move on to Perek Chav Gimel, which follows in the same vein in a way. Eile divrei David ha'achroinim. These are the words, the later words of David. Ne'um David ben Ishai. It's like a speech of David ben Ishai. U'ne'um ha'gever hukam al. It's the speech of the person who sort of has been elevated above all. Mashiach Elokei Yaakov. He is the anointed one of the Elokei Yaakov. Uneim Zmirot Yisrael. This is a famous phrase that people refer to David HaMelech as the Ne'im Zmirot Yisrael, the wonderful poet and singer of songs of Israel. That's this introductory pasuk. Now you notice it says ve'ele. It doesn't says eile divrei David. So Rashi in last week's Parsha Shmos, actually not in the ve'ele hamishpatim. It doesn't start off by saying eile hamishpatim. It says ve'ele hamishpatim. And Rashi says kol makom shenemar eile posel es harishonim. When all of a sudden you start a new parak, eile divrei David, that implies what was said before is no good, and now we start a new subject. Ve'ele moisif al harishonim. That's based on the Gemara in Psachim Hey Amud Aleph. So basically, when he says ve'ele divrei David achroinim, that means harishonim refers to the shira that we learned in Perek Chav Beis. That's the divrei harishonim. Now comes divrei achroinim, and some say that the rishonim include all the other shirim that he said in Sefer Tehillim, and the other things that he said when he was being chased. However, Rashi, we'll see in a minute, says that the various shiros that he said in Sefer Tehillim are not called dvarim, and that's not included in divrei harishonim. Rather, it's only whatever David HaMelech said in Perek Chav Beis that we learned last week, because there it says Vayidaber David la Hashem as divrei Ashira. So Rashi says you can specifically call them Devarim. Now, the Radak will say that those were said in a Madrega, the later Devarim, he didn't have Ruach HaKodesh. But these were said with Ruach HaKodesh. The Yonis ben Uziel says that this phrase, Elu Divrei David Achroinim, refers to Achris Hayomim, to the future. The Yonis ben Uziel says, Ve'ilin Pizkemei Nevuas David. These are the words, the prophetic words of David. The Isnabe L'Soif Alma. He is prophesying on the end of the world. L'yoyma nechemsa da'asidin l'meisei. On the days that are going to come, la'asid lavo. Interesting, the Yonasan ben Uzziah in Koheles, where it also starts Divrei Koheles ben David Melech B'Yushalayim. He also says that the words Divrei is Nevuah, while Rashi over there says no. Divrei means Divrei Toichachos. Now let's see what Rashi says here. Eila Divrei David Nevuas David Achroinim. Umiyam Arishonim, Divrei Hashira Ha'oimrim Lamala. The words that were said in Perchav Beis. But the other shiros that he said, like in Sefer Tehillim, Ein Nikroim Dvorim. They're not called Dvorim. But as I said, other people learn that the Divrei Rishonim include that it's Machlokas Rashi and other Meforshim. Now, when it says Ne'im Zmiros Yisrael, you should know that when the Leviim sang in the Beis HaMikdash, nothing else was sung except the shiros that David HaMelech composed. There was nothing else. And it's very similar in our davening. We don't say anything when it comes to Zmiros, shiros, only what David HaMelech wrote, Psukei de Zimra. It's only words of Tehillim. We have words of Anshe Knesses Agdola, right? They wrote the Birchos Kriya Shema, they wrote the Shemona Esrei, but the Psukei de Zimra, so just like the Leviim, when they said Shir in the Beis HaMikdash, and our tefillos are supposed to be a reenactment of what happened in the Beis HaMikdash, so too we only use the words of David HaMelech. The Radak in the Malbim says, "Kol tehillah shel David lo chiber rak la'atzmo l'matzovo ela chol Yisrael." David HaMelech didn't write all of these things for himself. He wrote them for Gans Klal Yisrael. Li'ishtamesh b'dvarim elu lahalel o l'tfilah, to either praise Hashem or to daven. And that's what it means here. That's what the Radak and the Malbim mean. The high and the im zmiros Yisrael, the kol zmiros of Nasu, the zmiros l'chol Yisrael. They were meant for everybody. And the Metzudas David learns that when he starts off by saying Ne'um David ben Ishai, that's referring to when he was a simple shepherd, the son of Ishai. Then Ne'um HaGever Hukam Al Mashiach Okei Yaakov, that's Tehillim that he said after he was anointed king by Shmuel HaMelech. And therefore it deals with Inyone of Malchus, whether he was chaste, whether he was Matzliach. And then the Ne'im Zmiros Yisrael is a third category. The various Zmiros Shechiber L'tzorach Klal Yisrael. Im Sipur Niflos Kel, right? A story about the greatness of Hashem, or Mahalim Bavoram Bichlal. And the point of this pasuk is all of this greatness that he's gone through. I haven't changed from when I was a simple shepherd. I'm the same David as I was then. Now, this word Hekim Al is a very Hukam Al, unusual phraseology. So Gemara Moed Katan, Tev Zayin Omid Beis. Omer Rab Shmuel ben Achmeni, Abram Yonasan. My Dichsiv, Ne'um David ben Ishai, Ne'um HaGever Hukam Al, Ne'um David ben Ishai Shehekim Oila Shel Tshuva, Ula Shel Tshuva. David ben Ishai created the yoke of being a Baal Tshuva. That's what the Gemara Moed Katan says. What does Rashi over there in Moed Katan say? Shehekim ula shel tshuva shehu shav tchila. He was the first Baal Tshuva. V'nosan derech l'shavim. He gave the road to people who were Baalei Tshuva. Kidamrina b'per kama d'avodah zarah daled amid beis. V'lo David roy lo'isa ma'aseh. David HaMelech was not roy to fall into the sin of Bathsheba. Elash im chata yachid. The reason that sort of Hashem let it happen is that if a individual person sins, oimrim lo, this is what the Gemara says, klach etzel David. You know what? Look at David HaMelech. Shemachalo HaKadosh Baruch Hu oso avon, afata chazor b'tshuva. So that's what the Gemara says, what Chazal say, that Hashem tells people, you know what, you could have also done a Baal Tshuva. Look at David HaMelech, he became a Baal Tshuva.
How about the sons of Korach? They did Shua the last minute before him.
So not only David raises a good question, and so let's deal with a number of things. First of all, the Slonim Rebbe in the Nesivos Olam says, how can we say that Hashem allowed David to sin to teach the future generations about tshuva? If that's the case, why was David HaMelech punished? We've been learning the last few prokim, all these things that happened to David HaMelech as a punishment for the chet of Bathsheba. But if this is a whole thing that David HaMelech was supposed to sin to teach the derech to Baalei Tshuva, then how can you punish him for that? So the Nesivos Olam explains that's what it meant, that David was not roy for this chet. He was a tzaddik gamur. And Kadosh Baruch Hu is shomer raglei chasidov. He protects chasidim and tzaddikim from sin. And in fact, Klal Yisrael many times are tzaddikim and they're not committing averis. So in fact, that's the fact why Kadosh Baruch Hu allowed him. He took away that shmira in order for the future generations to learn about tshuva. It's a big god. It's a big inyan. Such a god, such a toeles, that there should be a pischon pele Baalei Tshuva. That's why Hashem removed the shmira from chet. Now, instead of asking David Goldstein's question, the Meforshim asked other questions. We know Cain killed his brother, but became a Baal Tshuva. Ruvain mixed the beds of his father because he wanted Yaakov, after the death of Rachel, right? He moved the bed of his father into the tent of Leah. And it says, Vayishkav Ruvain as one of the Pilag Sheyavid. The Chazal explained, he didn't sleep with one of Yaakov's wives. He moved the beds around because he thought it was not covered for Yaakov to go to live with the Pilegesh of Rachel over his own mother Leah. So they were choite, and it says Ruvain was a big Baal Tshuva, and it was niskabel. It also says Adam Arishon, Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbos. It also has to do with tshuva. So, how was David HaMelech different than these other people? So, Rav Shimon Schwab Zatzal, the rabbi of the Yekisha community in Washington Heights, did so much tshuva shlema, that it was impossible for him to do any more sins. That's the concept of an ol, a yoke. Like you put a yoke on an animal, he can't turn his head one way or the other, he just got to go forward. So too tshuva shlema. He did such a tshuva that he couldn't go back and do the sin. And this is a chidush in the tshuva of David that we didn't find by Adam, Cain, and Ruvain. That's why it says in the Gemara in Sanhedrin, Kuf Beis Amud Aleph. Achar adavar zeh lo shav Yeravam midarko hara. That Yeravam, after Shlomo HaMelech's son Rechavam, there is a split in Klal Yisrael. Yeravam ben Nevat becomes the king over the 10 Shvatim, and it's Yehuda and Binyamin remain under the Malchus Beis David. So the Gemara says after Hadavar Hazeh, Yeravam didn't do tshuva. My acher. Amar Rav Abba. Achar shetafsa Kadosh Baruch Hu Yeravam bevigdo. Chazal say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu grabbed Yeravam by his scruff of his neck. V'amar lo chazar b'cha. Yeravam had set up Avodah Zarah in 2 places so that the Jewish people wouldn't go to Yerushalayim. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted them to become a Baal Tshuva. Listen to the language of the Chazal. Chazor b'cha v'ani v'ata uvenishai nitayel began Eden. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Yeravam ben Nevat, you and David HaMelech and me will take a walk in Gan Eden. Omer lo. So Yeravam asked, me Barosh, who's going to be at the head? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Ben Ishai Barosh. He said, David will be at the head. So Yeravam answered, Ihachi lo ba'ina. I want out of this partnership. That's the Gemara. So Rav Schwab explained, what does it mean, mi barosh? Yeravam was asking, who would be considered a bigger Baal Tshuva? If I do Tshuva or the Tshuva of David HaMelech? And that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered David HaMelech. Why is that bigger? The chet of Yeravam was a lot bigger of Avodah Zarah than the chet of Bathsheba. So, because, says Rav Schwab, the tshuva of David was with this oil, with this yoke, that means it's a tshuva shlema that you can't go back and sin again. He's considered a bigger Baal tshuva than Yeravam. So it explains that Gemara in a nice way. And it's interesting, Rav Schwab says, that's why David referred to himself as Ben Ishai. Because the Gemara in Shabbos, Nun Hey Amud Bet says, there are a few people who died, the Etyor Shel Nachash, which means they died without sin. And the Gemara brings Yishai Meis Belochet. So David wants to be associated with his father Yishai that never sinned. His father never sinned, and he, David, is the biggest Baal Tshuva of all time. That's this David ben Ishai. You notice many times in our davening, and we say David ben Ishai. Now we understand what that means. It's a concept. Ishai never sinned, and David is the biggest Baal Tshuva. Sinned, but did the greatest tshuva of anybody. So this David ben Ishai is a very strong pair. It's another reason they use the word al. Al is from the Lashon nis'aleh, to be raised up. That when he sinned with Bathsheba, he fell to a low madrega. But even so, by doing tshuva all of his life, he was elevated to even a higher place than he was when he first started. What happened to Mike? Maybe in the room. Something else fantastic about this hukam al. What is al bigematria? Al bigam ayin lamed is 100. So the Medrash Rabbah in Parshas Koirach says hukam al keneged mea brachos b'chol yom Hayumesim Yisrael mei anoshim. We're going to see soon there was a magefa in the time of David HaMelech, and 100 men were dying every day. They had their own COVID. Ba David v'tzikin lehem mea brachos. David HaMelech made a takana that everyone should say 100 brachos every day. Kivin shetikne nisatra magefa. Once they made these 100 brachos daily, the magefa stopped. That's the makor that if you count up, we have 18 birchas shachar, and then the birchos, we have 3 times mincha ma'ariv shachris times 19. You calculate it all up, and birchas hamazon after 2 sudos. If you count it all up, we all make 100 brachos every day, minimum. And this is the makor of the 100 brachos. It's brought by the Tur, the Shibbolei Alekes, bring the same thing, that the source of the Mea Brachos is this pasuk Hukam Al. And we know that most of the brachos that we have were misaken by the Anshe Knesset Agdoila, which happened 500 years after David HaMelech. Yet in the time of David HaMelech, they also said Mea Brachos. It's also interesting that David is called Ne'im Zmiros Yisrael, even though we know many other people recited, are the composers of Tehillim. David Goldstein measured the Bnei Korach, Lam Natzech Livnei Korach Mizmor. We know Adam Arishon. We say Tefillah LaMoshe, Moshe Rabbeinu was Misakein. And there are other composers, if you go through Tillim, we know there's others. How can you give it all to David HaMelech? So there's a Gemara in Psachim, Kuf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph, Tanya, Hayer Reb Meir Omer Kol Tushbachos Amurs B'Sefer Tehillim, Kulan David Amran. Shenamar, it says in Tehillim Ayin Beis, Kolu Tfilos David Ben Isha. Right, the Gemara V'chi David Amran is Kulam Alei Yashar B'Mechabim Acherim B'Tehillim. The Gemara asked the question, there were other Mechabim. Eli Yeshlemer Shekulam Nemru Al Piv Shel David Shuha Ne'im Zmirosen Shel Yisrael V'Nikroin Kulan Zmiro Shel David. They're all said in the name of David HaMelech. He's the Ne'im Zmiro Yisrael. Now, is it because he had a nice voice? No. It's because David composed many of these shirim when he himself was Be'ez Tzara. Like LeDavid B'Shanoso as Tamol Lifnei Avimelech V'Yigarshev V'Yilech, or Maskil LeDavid B'Yoser B'Mara Tefillah. Because of this midah, that these were said personally, he's given credit for all of Tehillim, even though there are other composers. Now, I wanted to learn the following Musar Nevi'im, who gives another pshat in the word Hukam Al. Hukam Al. We quoted the Gemara that said Shehekim Ula Shel Tshuva. He created the yoke of Tshuva. However, the Musar Nevi'im says Ula hu milashon to'elet. To'elet is like a result. V'hu ekimet to'elet shel Tshuva, meaning it's a purpose, the purpose of tshuva. Mipnei shebezeshu shav tchila noson derech l'shavim. He created a road for the Bali Tshuva. Kamosh Amar B'Avodah Zarah. Lawyer, like we learned, like we tell the story of people who are told, listen, David HaMelech did tshuva, you can do tshuva as well. He says like this: Umasha Bochra Kodesh Baruch Hu Dafka B'David Shuhu Yoreh Derech HaTshuva. A little bit, another answer to David Goldstein's issue. Why was David HaMelech chosen as the one to be the torchbearer for tshuva? Listen to this answer. Nir loimer shezeu mishim sharei rotza livnos es Beis Hamikdash. David HaMelech all his life wanted to build the Beis Hamikdash. Aval ein Beis Hamikdash moil klum im ein choizrim b'tshuva. A person brings a korban chatas. No korban chatas in the world is going to be mechaper for anybody unless they also do tshuva. So kirak azak karbonois makaprim im yesh tshuva imoim. V'lachein roa kadosh baruch hu shekedai David yikapel lov berotzon sheyei choyte uchvoda yeh mechulul bein abrios uvat sheyor is derech hatshuva. That means since the Beis Hamikdash is connected to the concept of being mechaper tshuva, it was appropriate for David HaMelech to be the one. Says the Musar Nevi'im. Mi David
Excuse me, Ernie.
Yes.
When you mentioned that the people died a day, is that when he counted the soldiers in
Yes.
person?
Yes,
Magifa?
that's the Magefa. That we're going to learn that in Perek Chavdalet.
Okay.
So, Mi David Efshar Liros Ad Kama Magia Koch HaTshuva. Omru b'Shabbos Nun Ches Amud Beis. It says Az Chilata Yitzui Allah. It says about Ruvain that he was Machalel the generations. Shtei Matzos Bilbel Ruvain. Ruvain moved the beds of his father, but he did more. In a sense, he was Mababel the Shechin as well. That's why it says Az Chilalta Yitzui Allah. Al Tikra Yitzui Allah Yitzui in plural. Pirish Rashi, the Achlo Nivda oil made, Haisu Shechina Mitzuya Oli Tzadikim. That means before the Mishkan, the Shechina dwelt in the tents of the Ovois. V'nimtza da'adei chet Ruvain hashchina niskalka misham. Huge pshat here that when Ruvain mixed up the beds of Leah and his father, the Shechina avoids problems with immorality. The Shechina runs away from that because it says v'lo yireh b'cha ervas davar v'shav me'achrecha. The Shechina can't tolerate problems with arayos. Right? The Sifri says ki arayos misalkus es hashchina. The imkain b'vadai sha'al yidei achet shel bat sheva nistalka shechina b'David. Since the sin of David HaMelech with Bathsheba was in the area of arayos, sexual immorality, the Shechina left David HaMelech as well. Even though it's such a great problem, kivan shechazu b'tshuva, he said, Ruach Hashem diber bi. Hashem spoke through me. Now we see David HaMelech as Ruach HaKodesh. And this is a big horror for the future, how big tshuva is. Okay. Pasuk days. Ruach Hashem diber bi. That the Spirit, so this is another Shira. This is the Machloket. This is the seven. I'm going to try to learn the 7 psukim of the Shira of this parak tonight, if we get there. And this is what we mean by Elu Divrei Achronim. That's why initially there were the previous parak, and now it's this parak. It's not, I'm not speaking from wisdom, says David. It's Ruach Hashem, it's Nevuah. It's not my thoughts. Umilaso alishoni. Hashem's words are speaking through me. By the way, Rashi says, Diber, there's by Lashon Nevuah, it always has a Lashon of Diber. Like it says, when Aaron and Moshe speak Lashon Hara about Moshe, it says Vayomru, Harach Ach b'Moshe diber, halo gambanu diber. So the Ruach of Hashem goes into the care of Hanavi. And that's why Rashi's learning Pshat here, that it's different Nevuah. I'm just going to read a drush of the Ran. Hanavi eino poel b'nevuah klal. Mitzad bechiras atzmo. The Navi doesn't decide on his own choice to speak Nevuah. It comes from Hashem. Lo be'inyana, v'lo b'miloseh, says the Ran. Not in subject matter, not in the words. Aval hu kli levad elem. The Navi is a kli, is a vessel. Kimo mare haschuchit sheta'er kefi ashir shira ba min hashemesh. Like when you put on glasses, it's a vehicle. That's what he means. Ki adibur ahu ba'u beruach Hashem yisbarach. He's just a kli. And the Malbim says that the words are not going to be mine; they're going to be Hashem's. The Shmuel, the Yesh b'shas nevuah, he's batlus haguf. V'hu eino moshel b'machshavto. V'hu kemoshu misalef. It's like he's like fainted. And we learned above that David HaMelech, when he composed all the Shirim in Tehillim, he did it in this kind of manner. So what's the difference between the various Shirim that we've learned in Shmuel, Hanavi, and Tehillim, which is in Ksuvim? So Rashi learns that all of these that are written in Sefer Shmuel is B'Toras Nevuah. And those in Tehillim is Beruach HaKodesh. So therefore, these words in Perek Chav Gimel are B'Nevuah, like Rashi learns. Now the Radak says that these words that are being spoken is only Ruach HaKodesh and not Nevuah. So it's a machlokes Rashi and Radak. The Ramban seems to learn like the Radak. That here, these words are only Ruach HaKodesh and not Nevuah. So you're going to ask me, what's the difference between Ruach HaKodesh and Nevuah? So trust me, I'm not going to be able to give you a full...
But isn't Ruach HaKodesh a higher madrega?
No. Nevuah is a higher madrega than Ruach HaKodesh. That's why there's things written in Yoshua Shoftim, Shmuel, Melachim, Yechezkel, Yirmiyah, Ishaya, Treyasar. They are books of Navi. We have something called Tanakh, Torah, Nevi'im, Ksuvim. They have, each one has its own madrega. Chamisha Chumshei Torah were said by Moshe Rabbeinu, which is Migroino Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The books of the books of the Nevi'im were on a lesser madrega of Nevuah. Ksuvim is on the lowest level with Ruach HaKodesh. So I'm just going to read what it says in the Emek Dovar, which was composed by the Netziv, right? The Netziv, who was the Volozhina Yeshiva, Rosh Yeshiva, passed away 1895. His son was Chaim Berlin and Meir Bar Ilan. Meir Bar Ilan was the founder of the Mizrahi movement in the United States. 1920, Reb Meir Berlin established USA Mizrahi. And Chaim Berlin, the Chaim Berliner Yeshiva is named after Chaim Berlin. They were the sons of the Netziv. So the Netziv wrote Ha'emek Dover. In Parshas Chayei Sarah, he says, Ruach HaKodesh u'masha adam is bodeid u'mashra alav Ruach HaKodesh. A person has to go into solitude, and then Ruach HaKodesh sort of descends on him. Mikol mokom yoideya masheroeh umidaber az midas atzmo. He knows what he sees. He knows what he speaks, and he's basically speaking with his own das. Omnam lo diber imo Hashem. Aval nevuah bechina gdoila mizu. But nevuah is a bigger bechina, like we said. It's like Hashem speaking through him. But he's not awake. He's like sleeping, lisalef. And the more nevuchim goes through, the Rambam, we're not going to deal with it, but you can see there's a great debate regarding these psukim that we're learning now and we're about to learn. Do they have the status of nevuah, or do they have the status of just Ruach HaKodesh? Pasuk Gimel. Omar Elokei Yisrael, Li Diber Tzur Yisrael. He says, the rock of Israel has spoken to me. Moshel ba'adam tzaddik. A ruler of man should be a tzaddik. And a moshel yiras Elokim. One who rules through also should have yiras Hashem. Now, there are different approaches to how to understand this pasuk. The first is Yonasan ben Uziel. He says these words have to do with Yemos HaMashiach. Most of them are Meforshim, Rashi and Radak, that it's praise about Malchus Beis David and his life. So when he said Li Diber Tzur Yisrael, that's Al Yedei Shmuel HaNavi. When Shmuel HaNavi anointed him, in a sense, that's Hashem speaking to him and choosing him. And he commanded him to be a Moshel Ba'adam. And Klal Yisrael are called Adam. And he commanded him to be a tzaddik and to have Yiras Hashem. The Abarbanel says that the Melech should be a tzaddik and as a Moshel with Yiras Hashem. The Yonasan ben Uziel says it's referring to Melech HaMashiach. It's going to happen in the future. It's interesting. The Gemara in Moed Katan, Tet Zayin Amud Beis learns, Omar Elokei Yisrael Li Diber Tzur Yisrael Moshel B'Adam Tzadik. What does this mean? Says the Gemara. Amar Vavo. Omar Elokei Yisrael Li Diber Tzur Yisrael Ani Moshel B'Adam. Hashem says, I rule people. But me, Moshel B, Hashem says, who rules me? Tzaddik. Shani Goizer, Zera, Umavatla. Hashem makes a Gzeira, and a tzaddik can be Mavatla the Gzeira of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaTzaddik yesh b'koicho levatla Gzeira HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why do people go to tzaddikim with kvetlach and because it's sad, because of this power that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Goizer, and a tzaddik sometimes can have the power to be Mavatal the Gzeira. It's learned from this pasuk. Uchor boiker yizrach shemesh, like the morning light when the sun shines. Boiker loy avos. Avos means an av is a cloud. It's like a cloudless morning, clear. Minoiga mimoter desher me'aretz. Right? It's like the glistening rain upon the grass of the ground. He's talking about the Malchus of Beis David is going to be strong and lingering forever. There's going to be Hatzlacha. It's not going to be the Malchus of Shaul or the Chashmonaim. It's going to be Matzliach. And of course, Yonasan ben Uziel says this refers to the light of tzaddikim lasid lavo. Ki lo chen beisi im kel. It just wasn't that I was with Hashem, ki bris oilam samli. I was with Hashem's bris, which means the Torah. Arucha bakolu shmura, which I've kept tight. Ki kol yeshiva kol chayvetz ki lo yatzmiach. Everything that I've desired has come true. It's not going to happen to my kingdom like Shaul, but it's going to remain shelo yafsik malchusi la'oil, and that's what he means by kilochein basi. My bias will not be like Beis Shaul, because my bias is going to go b'derech haTorah. That's how the Mefarshim explain. Some say that the bris that's being referred to is the bris with Malchus Beis David, but there are other Chazal that says the bris Torah. Tanit Rabbi Leo. Karas LaKadosh Baruch Hu bris yeboki b'mikro v'mishna ba'alochis v'agodos. That he made a bris with Torah, that he himself will be a Talmid Chacham. The ein bris el Torah. Shenemar in Malachi brisi haisa ito achayim b'shalom. Called Talmid Chacham, Shemar be'esek, ve'enu misparnis b'menu harbe simin yafelo. You have a Talmid Chacham, he does business, but he's not getting that wealthy. It's a good sign. He doesn't make, Hashem doesn't make him too wealthy. If he gets too wealthy, it's harder to keep the words of Torah. A Talmid Chacham that does a lot of work but doesn't bring in a lot of payros, it's again a good siman, because Hashem likes his Torah, and so that's how some learn pshat in this pasuk. Pasuk Vav, Uvlial, Kekotz Munad Kolohen. People who don't have Hashem are like a thorn that goes blown in the wind. Ki lo biyad yikacheyu. Nobody can touch a thorn. Belial refers to like Yeravam, those that are going to be fighting Malchus Beis David and going to take over the Melchama. It's like a thorn, they're Rishon Gemurim. And they're not beloved by Hashem. Like the words Vayakutsu, quotes, comes Vayakutsu b'Bnei Yisrael, that Bnei Yisrael tired of the work. Or Katzti b'Chayai mipnei b'Nois Ches. Right? Yitzchak Avinu says, I don't have enough of my life because of the girls running around. I have nobody to make a shidduch with my sons. But v'ish yigabahem, a person who gets in touch with Rishoim, Yimale Barzel v'Eitz Chanis. First, you have to equip yourself with weapons of steel and of wood. Uva'esh sarof yishrefu b'sheves. The Rishoim have to be burned. By speaking to them pleasantly will not work. You have to be harsh with them. You have to wear armor, bring weapons. And eventually, they were going to be judged. Begehenim. That's what that's how the Mefarshim explained this nevuah by David HaMelech. Okay, now the remaining of this parak goes through a listing of the various officers and people that David HaMelech ruled with, and we'll learn that. We'll finish the parak next week. Just housekeeping. We'll probably finish this parak next week, and then we'll have one more parak, Chaf Daled. Mirz Hashem, we'll talk about maybe doing a siyum, and of not just Sefer Shmuel, Shmuel Aleph and Shmuel days, and we'll make a big opening of Malachim, and we can spread the word and also gather new people to join our shir from Malachim, God willing. Any comments, questions, ha'aros about anything we said?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. So we'll gather again, God willing, next week, but back to normal time, 7:30.
Shkoyach.
Koyach, Koyach.
Shavua Tov.
Harold, we're gonna see you
Shavua Tov.
tomorrow morning, right?
Yeah, see you in the morning, yeah.
Shavua Tov. Bye-bye.
Okay.